Right. So, for all those that are joining us today, we had a technical difficulty that cut Vic off, but that's all right. We're going to pick up from where we left off. So, as soon as he jumps back on, we'll get started. But for everything that you guys missed, man, listen, Vick Ballard, man, has an amazing story. We're still getting into it. He'll join us in just a second. We're still getting into it, man, and I appreciate you guys for working with us. You know, you never know how these live streams gonna work. You know, you never know how these keep on trucking. All right. Okay, let's see. Accept. Go live. Accept. All right. Well, for some odd reason, IG is acting crazy today. All right. All right, Vic. I'm gonna cancel yours and then see if I can invite you. See if that works. Okay. All right.
Yeah, good.
We back. All right. All right. So like I was saying, for everybody that is gonna jump on this and see this on the other platforms, man, we was into some good stuff, man. My man Vic was talking about his life growing up in Pascagoula. Gula.
Yeah.
There we go. Got it. So Pascagoula, Mississippi, man. He went from there to from junior college, well, from high school, had the scholarship to U of H. Art Browse left and took the scholarship with him. Basically, didn't honor that.
Yeah.
Kevin Sumlin came back, was like, "Yeah, I don't know this kid, so no." So that put him in a position where he had to go to community college. But after community college, man, he was trying to figure it out. It was a little tough, but he stuck with it. Jumped in the fire. We go from there to now him running for 2,100 yards and 30 touchdowns with no quarterback. I'm going no quarterback. That brother have no quarterback. Dak Prescott was there, but he was a fish in the water, so he redshirted. Then we go from there to seeing your dreams come true, getting the call, and getting drafted by the Indianapolis Colts. And then after that, man, we're in the season of playing with the Indianapolis Colts and Andrew Luck and you becoming the guy and Ryan Grigson bringing everybody and their mama to jump into the pot to try to win games. And in games we won. Matter of fact, you had a game-winning score against the Tennessee Titans. We went 11-5. You know what I mean? We was in the playoffs. Just so happens, we ran into this man that wore this jersey and has some of the most iconic speeches of all time when it comes to the NFL. That man being Ray Lewis. Yeah. And he just so happened to tell his team, fellas, this is my last ride. So we caught the tail end of the last ride Ravens, who would eventually go on to be the Super Bowl champion. So I ain't mad, bro. We lost to the Super Bowl champions, man. But that's where we're at. And so we were asking about the business of the NFL. That's when we were talking about Ryan Grigson and him bringing guys in and it was crazy too. We can go in right there. I'll be sitting talking to a dude in my locker one week. The next Tuesday, buddy is out of there. And I'm like, yo, we might well not get close to nobody in this organization.
Right, yeah. Right? And you never know who it could be, man. It could be you. You could be balling, and the next day they working somebody out on that Monday or that Tuesday in your position.
Yeah.
Don't drop a ball at a crucial moment. It's over with.
It's a wrap. They on the live. They on the free agent wire. They probably on the free agent wire right now. Yeah. But speaking of the Colts, man, RIP, man, to Jim Irsay. He was the owner there. You know, he gave me an opportunity to continue my career. Ryan and him also gave you the opportunity to enter the NFL. So shout out to, prayers and condolences are with the Irsay family. You know, one of the things so that's the recap for everybody that's like, man, what do we miss? That's the recap. Y'all just got the recap. But one of the things that people don't talk about enough when it comes to athletes and what that can do to your psyche, man, is injuries. Now we all know that injuries are a part of the game, but when you in a situation like you're in, I mean, the last thing that you want is for your body to fail you, man. So how did you handle the setbacks physically and
Uh,
emotionally?
Physically, you know, it is what it is. Your body is going to heal at the rate that it heals, but emotionally and mentally, I struggle, man, because that was the first time I had really stepped away from football, and I just so many thoughts flooded my mind. You know, I was trying to figure out who I was away from the field,
Mm,
and it's like at some point, every player is going to experience that, whether it's from injury or just from having to walk away from the game. But it was definitely tough, bro. But I had gotten to reading back then, and that kind of helped me understand who I was as a person. Just started kind of building the blocks from ground zero, and eventually, found my way back to the field. But I wasn't the same player. It wasn't
yeah.
even close to the same player, man. So I had to start thinking about what I was going to do after I finished.
Yeah. And for just for clarity, man, let the people know what you were dealing with from an injury perspective, because I don't think they really understand what athletes, especially football players, go through from an injury perspective.
Yeah, so it says 100% chance that you're gonna get hurt in football. And up until that point, I was relatively clean. I had no surgeries, no major injuries outside of like maybe a sprained ankle. That was the worst I had ever had. But my second year, the second week of the season, we was getting ready to play Miami, and I tore my ACL at practice.
Mm,
Came back from that, in training camp, like the third day in training camp, I tore my left Achilles. So I got right ACL, left Achilles. So now I didn't had an injury on both of my wheels. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
as a running back, I need that.
Yep.
But came back from that too, and I actually made the team. But I was having a whole lot of hamstring issues because once you start having bilateral injuries like that, it throws your biomechanics off. So it's like you injured your knee, but how does it affect the other side? You know what I'm saying? So just one thing after the other. Like I said, the injuries started to stack up, and eventually I found myself out of the game, man.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it, man. And that's the part where this is the reason why I started the show, to be honest, bro. And so I played from 2008 to 2017. My story is nothing like yours or a lot of the brothers that deal with, injuries or, people saying, no, you know what, we got a different evaluation about you. We appreciate your service, but yeah, we good, right? I didn't have any of that. I actually decided that I was done. After
Right,
year 10, I was like, you know what? I'm
right,
good. I've done this enough.
yeah,
It's time to go do something different,
right,
right? But money in the bank, did well, wasn't a big, huge spender, did all of that stuff. But here's the one thing I wasn't prepared for: the question of what do I do now, right? What's next, right?
right,
So knowing what you know now,
yeah.
right? If you could go back and talk to the rookie Vic, what wisdom would you pass along, understanding what you know now, being out of the game? Well, I think you've been gone, what, almost 9 years now, I think?
2016 was my last
Yeah,
time.
so now, so we're approaching year 10, man, almost 10 years out. That's
Yeah,
crazy to say that, bro. You ain't even got grades. That's
I
crazy.
got, I got a couple up there.
Oh man, I got a couple on my beard, but that's it. No, but yeah, what would you tell yourself?
I would say definitely find an identity outside of football because a lot
Yes,
of
sir.
players, a lot of players identify as football players. They don't know it, but that's a liability because it's
Yeah,
not gonna be around forever. And it's like you identify as a football player, and people see you as a football player too. So it's kind
yeah,
of it's kind of a double whammy because people put you in that box, but you also put yourself inside that box.
you do.
And one day you're not gonna be inside of that box no more. And what do? You like a fish out of water.
Yeah, I agree. You want to know another thing that's a detriment to athletes, not just football players. Obviously, you and I, that's what we did.
Yeah,
And for all those that's on, man, I appreciate y'all, man. Y'all could be doing anything with y'all time, but y'all are spending y'all time with us, man, and I definitely appreciate that. Like, share, let everybody know we on some good stuff that we talking about. I'll say this too, to any mother that has a child that's in sports, or if you're aunt, uncle, dad, whatever, you're talking to two guys collectively, man, that got double-digit years combined in the NFL. So if you guys got any questions or anything, please feel free to ask that. That's one thing that I've I've started doing. I was like, you know what? When people get on, if they got questions about that, man, please ask it. If I can get to them, I will.
Sure.
But I appreciate you guys. But you know, to your point, they push us to be like that.
Yeah.
You know, football, you never gonna make as much money as you make now. Like, lock in, all in. You got to be willing to sacrifice. And it's like, yeah, bro, but we also are human.
Yeah.
We also have other interests. Like
Yeah.
the game, NFL does mean you call it the National Football League. Not for long is what
Not
we
for
call
long.
it.
Yeah.
Average year is what, 3 to 4 years in the game.
Yeah.
That's a very small segment of a huge life. And
Yeah.
so when it comes to the transitional space, man, that was tough for me. It took me 5 years to catch my footing. You know what I mean? It took me 4 to 5 years to figure out what I wanted to do. And everybody see all this stuff now, and it's like, man, there was a lot of dark nights, a
Yeah.
lot of tears, man, a lot of like, bro, like, who am I outside of this? Now, for me, God allowed me to turn my pain into to use it as a pedestal for my purpose.
Right.
So I wrote about it. I wrote this book called The Alignment of Belief and Becoming, right? And I wanted that to be able to help athletes discover their purpose beyond the game, right? And your journey mirrors that message, bro. So I'm so glad that you're sharing that with us. But as I want to unpack some of the emotional aspects of life after the league. So tell me about like when football ended, how was that how was that identity shift and what was the hardest part about transition?
I think I think the identity shift started early with me because, like I said, I was hurt. I was still part of the team, but I was hurt, and I started realizing, like, man, I've been identifying as a football player, but I can be so much more. But
Mm,
once I found myself away from the game, not on the team, anything like that, it kind of felt like it was like a fall from grace, man. Like I had reached the top of a mountain, but I had got kicked off. And
mm.
the way I describe it to people, it felt like I was laying on some cold concrete. You know, my head, my back, my legs are all on the ground, and I'm looking up. Well, I'm looking, but I don't even know which way is up. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but I know I can't stay there. I gotta get up and start moving around and figure out which way is my north. And eventually that's what I did. Start putting one foot in front of the other, and found myself here. Like I say, talking to you, man. It wasn't easy, but you just figure things out.
You know, one of the things that I know about athletes, man, is we have the ability to like perseverance. I don't know if they've identified this yet. A lot of my brothers, I try to get them to see it this way, or I intend to get them to see it this way. But bro, perseverance is a transferable skill.
Oh, for
You
sure.
know, grit is a transferable skill, man. And you know, you 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 are a walking example of that. And the one thing that I'm starting to see with a lot of brothers like yourself, intellectually talented, man, you took a football career and turned it into a freaking engineering career, bro.
Yeah.
Like, how in the world do we get into engineer? Listen. I need people to understand this, bro. You running against the Ray. You thinking your face in the fan against the Ray Lewis's of the world, bro.
Yeah.
Brian Cushings. You understand?
Yeah.
Like the I think Bullock might have still been there, but like just I'm saying like these are Hall of Fame guys that you're playing and lining up against and running into on Sundays. To go from that to engineering, man, what inspired that career?
So coming out of high school, I wanted to be an engineer, and like most other schools, once you, especially if it's a major program, you can have any aspirations you want, but they gonna say, look, you gonna do this or that. Ain't none of that other stuff. You're not coming here to play school. You coming to play football. So
Yeah.
I asked him to do engineering, but that was like, what about business?
Yeah. Lighter workload. I need you
Right?
at
Yeah.
practice.
Exactly. I mean, that was right. I don't think I could have played football and studied engineering at the same time, but I ended up
Yeah.
studying business. Graduated with a bachelor's of business, and but whenever I was finishing up, it's like also I would see guys who were engineers, and I would think to myself, I know they can't be that much smarter than me. Like I wanted to do this back in the day, but I was denied. But it's like, the competitor in me always felt like I know I'm just as smart as them, if not more smart.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got time. I got somebody willing to pay for it. I'm trying to figure out my next thing in life. I'm going back to school to be an engineer. So I, uh, I enrolled immediately.
Man, that's amazing, bro. Like, and not only did you do that, bro, but you either have finished this, or you're in the pursuit of a dual master's right now?
Well, it was a concurrent master's, so I finished. So I have a master's in engineering now, and I'm finishing up an MBA. So,
Got it.
I,
Man,
yeah, I had two bachelors and two masters this time next year.
I can hear all the women that was born in 59 and 59 to 70. They just clapping their hands, saying, "Yes, baby, yes."
Yeah,
I can see it now. Like that's what I'm talking about. Get your education. You
right.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. Well,
But
man,
that's put you in Lockheed Martin, bro. What
yeah,
is that like working with? Because I mean, listen, all I know it's Lockheed, and I know it's Raytheon when it comes to those type of things, man. And those are high level companies.
yeah,
So high that I don't even want you to tell me the things that you can't tell me because I like my life. You keep
yeah.
all them
Right.
government secrets to yourself, but share with the people, especially our athletes. I want our athletes to know this, man. If you don't mind getting too personal, you don't have to be yours, but at the position that you're at, so, say somebody else, what's a starting salary point for somebody like that?
Mm, fresh out of college, you could probably come out making about 80, 85.
Come on, bro. What are we talking about?
Yeah,
With the ability to scale. You already you so for all the athletes that's gonna see this, my man just said you come in and make about $85,000. You $15,000 away from being a six-figure earner. Even
yeah,
if you got a side hustle that's gonna pull in 15,000 a year, you already at a higher level, right? So I'm trying to get these athletes to see. Not I'm trying. I'm in the process of getting these athletes to see that you can get to the bag in multiple ways, man,
yeah,
if you're willing to work for it.
yeah.
Um, Give me a typical day in the life of somebody in your position as an engineer at Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, so engineering is pretty broad. Even my job title, aeronautical engineer, is pretty broad as well.
I wasn't even gonna try to pronounce that. I'm glad you did it. Appreciate
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
aeronautical engineer, yeah. But more specifically, what I do, I'm what they call a stress analyst. So I support production of this aircraft called the F-16. It's a fighter jet,
Chip,
and
Top Gun. I know. Yeah, I'm
yeah,
with it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, F-16. So whenever anybody on the production line messes up does anything that deviates from the blueprint, any type of discrepancy, they send it to my team to analyze. Well, they'll propose the repair, and then my team analyzes the repair to make sure that it's strong enough to handle all the different maneuvers and things like that the pilot is going to do whenever they find the aircraft.
hmm So that allows me to come up with this question too, because we're gonna have young athletes on here,
Mhm.
and a lot of these guys, man. I saw a commercial. I want to say it was Enterprise. I think it was Enterprise. And they were, talking about, or it could have been Home Depot, one of the two. But they were pairing athletes and then the people that were working at these particular spaces. And they were like, many of these guys are going to go pro in other things, right? Going into the job force, man. Um, at the end of the day, what I'm getting at is the game ends for us all. Sometimes it allows us to get to the pinnacle.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's going to be collegiately. Hell, sometimes it might even be in high school. You might not even get a college shot. The
for
game's
sure.
going to end for us all.
Exactly.
What advice would you give a young athlete to prepare them for the after season, right? Both mentally and also financially for those that might have had NIL space might have had an opportunity to earn a little bit of money.
Um, I would definitely say, kind of piggybacking off what I said earlier, like don't be a football player. Be somebody that plays football and leverage that network that you have, because as you mentioned, like some of your teammates might not make it to the next level, but they're gonna go into the professional workforce. They might become lawyers. They might become doctors. Like, stay connected with them, because whenever it's time for you to transition, now you got a robust network of people that's well connected, and that helps you get inside of doors that you probably wouldn't have otherwise.
Networking is important, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
Extremely important, especially if you know how to use it the right way, man. It can get you. I tell people this all the time, Vic. Look, man, your mind is gonna carry you farther than your body ever can. You
Yeah,
know, it's
I
gonna
I heard
go ahead.
Robert Greene say that one day. He was like, you can make more money with your mind than you'll ever make with your body. And I was like, damn, bro, that was profound for me.
But because it's true. You look at my thing is everybody. Okay, let's talk about LeBron James, right? LeBron James and everything that he's done from a financial standpoint, economic standpoint. He's taken his career and he's built off of that. That's great. But here's the reality of that. somebody still cuts his check. What are they doing?
Look,
What
billionaire.
what are they what are they doing? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
we gotta start thinking different, man. And to me, I feel like asking that type of question, that's the type of question that gets you to start thinking about legacy. You know what I
Right.
mean? And so now that your cleats are hung up, man, what does legacy mean to you? And what are you working on right now to increase what you believe legacy is for you and your future family?
Really, man, just trying to put some blocks together so not only I can benefit from what I'm doing, but they can benefit as well. Stuff like in the NFL they talk about the jersey, the name on the back of your jersey, and having that brand equity. You know what I'm saying? So I want to be able to extend my brand equity to other people in my family as well. So whatever they doing in life, it can make it that much more easy.
Absolutely. Now, listen, having a high name that's known and elevated gets you
Right.
a lot of places. For instance, if your last name is Ford, probably gonna get you a lot of places. If your
Exactly.
last name is Buffett, it's
Yeah.
probably gonna get you a lot of. Hell, if your last name is Walton, right?
Yeah.
Shout out Walmart. It's probably gonna
Yeah.
get you a lot of places. So, like, yeah,
Yeah.
have that name is huge, man. I don't want to. I got a couple more questions and then we'll wrap this up, man. And like I said, man, I definitely appreciate your time, your insights, brother. Like for everybody that's watching this, I cannot explain to you enough. And he gonna laugh it off because he's humble, but I cannot explain to you enough the type of. Not only do we have a professional athlete on the line, but we have somebody that is extremely intellectually talented, master's degrees, MBAs,
Appreciate
engineering, like. I'm so happy to have you on here, and I was so hyped to do this with you, bro, because you give these guys a different visual
it.
of what success can look like after the game, and that's what I've been on. I've been on that transitional space.
Can I add something real quick?
Yeah.
Not necessarily add, I guess it's on brand on topic what we're talking about now. So, I recently did that podcast, the NFL Second Acts podcast with
With the
Peanut.
trust.
Nah, it's through the NFL. It's
Oh,
with
okay, got you.
Peanut Tillman and Charles.
I saw that.
Yeah, yeah.
My old teammate
Roman Humphrey. Yeah.
Roman Harper. Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever they reached out to me, through email, I was like, is this a scam? Because I'm like, why do they want to talk to me? Because when you look at their guests, they got Hall of Famers, they got Michael Vick, Cam Newton, all these players that's really decorated. And, I was a guy that was hurt most of the time.
Yeah.
And whenever I told them that, they was like, nah, bro, you got a story to tell. And that's different and people need to hear, your route.
Yep.
It kind of gave me a sense of like validation because whenever you step take the first couple steps on the unbeaten path, you sometimes you're unsure if you're actually doing the right thing or not. But the
Yeah.
fact that I'm sitting down here talking to you, talking to them, and people want to hear, about my path, it lets me know that I made the right decision.
Dude, absolutely. Anytime you align with your purpose, man. I tell people this, man. I heard Myron Golden say this, man, and I went in on it. I actually created a framework off of the words that he said. But he said
So,
that your purpose is found at the intersection of your proficiency
mhm.
and your calling, right? What is proficiency? That thing that everybody looks at you and be like, man, I don't understand how you do that. And you're like, this, I can do this in my sleep. That's proficiency, man. Like it's
Right,
easy
right.
for you. And your calling is that thing that that keeps you up at night. For you, like seeing these guys and saying, man, listen, I know I'm just as smart, if not smarter than him. I'm gonna
100%.
be an engineer. Like
Right.
that's the thing that kept you up. At the intersection of that is your purpose. Once you understand your purpose, then I call it the four tenets of purpose. The first thing is you have to discover your purpose.
Hmm.
Once you discover your purpose, then you have to dedicate yourself to that purpose. And through that dedication aspect, you're going to design yourself for that purpose. Once you've done that, I all believe that God has given us people to serve. He's placed them in our kingdom, right? King's dominion, kingdom being a compound word. You have
Right.
to deploy all of that you've done. You now deploy that into the people that God has called you to serve, man. And that's how lives are changed. The reason why you're getting people like the Roman Harpers of the world to want to sit down and talk to you, right? And the Peanut Charles Tillmans, right, of the world that want to sit down and talk to you, is because you're aligned with your purpose, man, and your story is so unique. And
Yeah.
to be honest, man, it's a badge of honor for us as athletes to be able to say, y'all always talking to us about the 60 and the 80% of us and the divorce rates and the money going down, but y'all not talking about the brother that's the I'm not gonna say the word engineer
Aeronautical.
and you know what I mean? Aeronautical engineer. Yeah, y'all ain't think I could get it. I got it. Aeronautical engineer. Y'all not telling the aeronautical engineer story. How he tapped into the trust programs and all of these programs and used it to go back and educate himself. Like
Right.
this is what the system is for. And
Right.
you're carrying the flag for that, bro. So that's the
Yeah.
reason why. And I know that they interviewed you, I interviewed you, but it's not gonna stop here, bro. It's gonna keep going because these athletes want to see something different. These
Mm-hmm.
athletes want to see that it's not the end. These
Mm-hmm.
athletes want to see, and if I'm being perfectly honest, man, they want to see brothers of color doing positive things in a different arena because that's the thing that gives them hope,
Right.
right? A lot of these brothers are walking around having these issues in their life because they're walking around not aligned with their purpose. They haven't identified it and they're walking around hopeless. So your story gives them hope that there is life after this game. Because if I've only been doing something since I was 10 years old and
Mm-hmm.
now the game is taken away from me at 25, 26, that's 16 years of my life that I've
Yeah.
done one thing. That's 16 years of my life when I was told I was the greatest. That's 16 years of my
Yeah.
life when I was when everybody was telling me, you know, hey man, you finna be that guy. And then on top of that, don't mess around and actually become the guy.
Mm.
Get drafted, and then as a rookie put up almost 1,000 yards
Mm.
and play against Ray Lewis and have highlight tapes on the great Ray. Like, bro, how do you not think you that man at that point? And then now it all just comes crashing down. And now
Facts.
you got to do the transferable skill that you learned at Mississippi Gulf State, at Mississippi State, and in the NFL. You had to use perseverance. You
Mm-hmm.
had to use grit. You have to use those things. And here's where it gets hard for a lot of athletes. And I hope people are listening to me tonight. If you are a cousin or a friend or a wife or a husband of an athlete, to understand this. Athletes' success is usually measurable. What do I mean by it's usually measurable? Meaning that there's a camera in practice that watches them
Mm-hmm.
and shows them where their mistakes are at.
Yeah.
So they can go in and go to practice or go into the film study and identify where they messed up. Then they can have instant gratification because they can say, "Oh, I stepped wrong here," or
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, I missed that assignment there. I'm gonna get another shot."
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes in life, you don't know if the path that you're on is the right decision to go down. Sometimes in life, you might not get another opportunity,
Right.
and those things can be mentally taxing on athletes that have been in a space of gratification. I made a mistake, I fix it, I see the reward.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you might not see the reward of your decision until years down the line.
That's me, bro. Because I had to go back to basically freshman level classes. I was taking freshman level physics. Actually, I started taking classes that wasn't even required for the major. I was taking like get up to speed classes.
Mm.
So I had to kind
How
of start.
humbling was that, though, bro? Honestly, you're an older player with these
Uh,
younger kids, like, and you played in the league and you starting over, bro. Like,
yeah,
talk to the people about that
yeah.
aspect of it.
I didn't tell anybody. It just kind of came out in casual conversation to just some of the students that I had got cool with. But I had a little crisis. I remember I was in physics one, and I remember thinking to myself like, how did I end up here? I'm in Indy. My locker was between Luck and Reggie. You know what I'm saying? Like two guys that got long money. And relatively speaking, I had a little bit, but but I had way more than the college student. You know what I'm saying? And they over
Yeah,
here talking about pooling money together so they can buy pizza. And
yeah,
I'm like, man, what am I doing? And I'm thinking like, man, at the time I was like 27, 28. I know I was going to be about 32 when I graduated. I'm like, man, I'm about to do this for 4 years. Am I sure that I'm making the right decision? But I kind of, got rid of all those thoughts and thought to myself, we all here for the same thing. We all here to be engineers. Whatever we did before this point really don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Because we all here for the same thing. And
absolutely.
that's how I got through it. Yeah.
I love that. I hope, I really hope that the people that are listening now and those that are going to listen later heard what the brother said, man. Listen, there was moments of doubt. There was moments of like, am I making the right decision? But that's the thing. Decide. The word decide is there's a Latin rudiment word. It means desirde. That's the Latin root. Day means off or from. Sirde means to cut. So
Right.
you literally cut off any decision outside of the one that you're deciding that you're going to do to align with your purpose, man. And you see the benefits and you reap the rewards. That
Mhm.
decision to continue to persevere is the reason why you're on podcast.
Right. Yeah.
That decision is the reason why you at Lockheed Martin. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that I commend you on that. And that's why I'm trying to get people. I'm not trying. I'm in the process of getting people. I'm removing trying from my vocabulary. That's why you
Right.
keep
Yeah.
hearing me do that.
Right.
But I'm in the process of helping brothers and sisters in the athlete space to understand that there is life after the game. There is life. You just have to align yourself and find your purpose, man.
Yeah.
One
Come
of
up
the
with a
things
plan
that I
too.
oh go ahead.
Say, come up with a plan too, because
Yeah.
you can spitball stuff all day and never make progress. You got to come up with a plan with actionable steps you can take to reach whatever goal you want to make. I mean, reach.
No, absolutely. The same way you did in sports. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You had a game plan. Come up
Right.
with the game plan. And it doesn't mean that the game plan is going to go perfectly well.
Oh,
It does.
absolutely. No.
What it does is it gives you a map in the way to which you start walking, and in life it's going to guide you in the way that you're supposed to get to. We're all going to get to where we're supposed to get to, no matter which route we take. I truly do believe that. Um, but being in the wealth management side, I got to ask a couple wealth questions, bro. So one of the frameworks I teach is the legacy loop, right? That's where you earn your income, you store it, and then once you build it up, you invest it, and then you rinse, wash, and repeat. What is a piece of financial advice that you would give athletes today, especially these cats that's making some money? What kind of advice would you give them to think about now that you wish somebody would have told you then?
I don't just. I I'm gonna answer that question in the form of a story. All right.
Okay.
So I think it was my rookie year over here, and it's this guy named Griff Whalen. He played with Luck at Stanford as well.
I remember Griff.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, little short Griff. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Griff was talking about a stock he had just invested in. It was actually an ETF, and
Got it.
he was like, "Yeah, I just put my signing bonus in, and I hope it does well." And I remember thinking to myself, "This boy is stupid as hell. He putting his money in stocks." But really, I was the stupid one. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't financially literate.
Yeah.
And since then, let's call it, what, 12, 13 years ago, like that stock ETF has averaged about 20% returns a year. So it's more than double. If he didn't take his money out, it would have doubled plus some. So if I would have took my player performance check, you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
and put that in the money I wasn't even expecting, how much would it
Yeah.
be today?
Yeah.
So I would definitely say, tell my younger self, like, get financially literate as soon as possible because um, your future depends on it.
Oh,
Especially if you don't play as long as you thought you would have. Because I thought I was playing at least 8 to 10 years,
yeah.
but all I got was 4, and
Yeah.
some of that I had to split in my contract, so I didn't see all of my money.
Yeah.
But I had to be smart with it. Yeah.
Listen, that's a bar, bro. That when I got into the space of alternative investments, insurance, and annuities, man, they have this thing called it's an insurance tool that we use, illustration. That's what it's called. They have an illustration tool, and what the
Mhm.
illustration tool does is it shows you what the current return is for your insurance policy at this moment and what it's been the past 10 years,
Mhm.
bro. I went back and I said, what would have happened? I didn't do signing bonus. I didn't do signing bonus. I didn't do contract. I did Madden checks.
Oh
I
yeah.
said, what
That look-
would have happened if
yeah.
I'd have just put my Madden checks over the 10-year time that I played
Yeah.
into this index whole life policy that's averaging around 7 to 8% a year, right?
Yeah.
Over 15 years. I put it in there. I almost broke my computer. I got a dent in it right here, right now, bro. I
Oh,
almost broke my computer. I would have returned 6 figures a year for the
yeah.
rest of my life just on
Yeah.
Madden checks. So
Same.
like yes, it does cost us not being financially equipped and financially educated.
Mm-hmm.
But that was my story, man, because I'm like, where was my Griff Whalen? If I'd have just heard it, maybe I'd have thought about it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I didn't hear that. Then I come back and I found out that Brandon Abajayo, he was a
Yeah,
linebacker with Baltimore.
yeah, yeah. I
Bro, I
know.
found out he had to play. He did that. I'm like, bro, you don't care about us. You don't care about your brothers. At that time, I think we would have had Facebook was out. You
Yeah.
could put it on Facebook. Twitter
Something.
and LinkedIn was out. Hey,
Yeah,
athletes, did you know if you did this,
yeah,
it could have hit the airwaves somewhere? But you know, we
yeah.
got it when we were supposed to get it. Um, let like I talked about, I wrote the book, The Alignment of Belief and Becoming. That's about identifying purpose, but it's also about reinvention, man. A lot of athletes fear reinvention because it feels like they're starting over. You talked about that in your story, right? What would you say to somebody that's hesitant to walk into, that new life or that next version of themselves to help them prepare for that and to get over that fear? Because that's what it is.
Hmm. The person that you want to become is on the other side of that fear.
Ooh, say that one more time for the people in the back.
It's like the person you want to become is on the other side of that fear. And
Yeah.
like fear is an emotion, you know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily reality. So once you can, shake off the shackles of fear and actually start, like I say, putting a plan together and executing on that plan, you start to see like, this thing can work out and it's gonna work out, especially if you, like you said, bringing those transferable skills that you learn from playing the game to
Mm-hmm.
whatever you want to do in life. And honestly, for me, like I learned that I honestly, bro, I feel like I can do anything I put my mind to.
I
It's
love
like
it.
it's like it's only a matter of time. That's how I feel. I don't know. I feel like that's how people say people have toxic traits. I think that's my toxic trait. I can do whatever I can do
Nah, bro,
whatever I
that's a
want to.
superpower, bro. We not putting no negative spin on that, bro. You got a superpower. You unlocked your mind,
listen,
bro. That's
listen.
what I need them to understand. You've unlocked your mind. Talk
Yeah,
about
no,
it.
for sure. But it's like I feel like I learned that I got, like you said, that superpower through struggle though. Because
Yeah,
when I was hurt, I saw another side of my grind, bro. I had never saw before. And
yeah.
I was okay. It didn't work out with football because I ran out of time. But anything else I want to do in life, I feel like I got the tools. It's just a matter of figuring out what I want to do with myself. And that gave me confidence to move forward with everything that I do.
Bro, you got my mind going now, dog. Listen, you talked about that your superpower came through your struggle, right?
Mm,
And so in the book of Samuel, there's a guy. Many people may know him. Some for those that don't, I'll say his name. His name was David, and
mm,
David was a shepherd boy. And
yeah,
so when King Saul had messed up, God was like, "All right, let's get him out of here." He
I
pulled
got this.
He pulled a Griggs, got
Fixing,
him
yeah,
up out of there, right?
yeah, I got
He
this.
started he went to the free agent pool, bro.
Yeah,
And so Nathan came and he was looking for the next king of Israel, man. And so his dad's name was Jesse. He had these sons, and these was militant dudes, bro, big dudes, bro. And
yeah,
so that he was like, oh, okay, one of my boys about to be the king. All right, cool. So he lined up all his boys. And Nathan was like, nah, that ain't him. Next. Nah, that ain't him. This went on like 6, 7 times. So Jesse like, bro, you said it was finna be one of my boys. He like, do you got another one?
yeah.
Like, yeah, I got David, but he the little shepherd boy in the back. You know what I'm saying? Like, we
Little
ain't
David,
finna. You can't be talking about David.
little
But God
David.
said, God said that I don't look at men like other men look at men. I look at their heart, right? That's a transferable skill for athletes. Your heart, man. Perseverance.
Mm,
That's a transferable skill. But here's what I realized. So he anointed David. He said, David, you finna be the king of Israel. You got a heart after the most high. You finna do great things. You about to lead these people. It's gonna be on. You about to be smashing Philistines and everything, bro. It's finna be on, bro. You finna rep. You going to the
right,
you going to the championship. You feel me?
right, right.
So he told him that. But you know what he gave him before he ever gave him a crown, bro? Before he ever put the crown on David's head, he gave him Goliath.
Yeah.
He gave him Goliath, bro. And what I need the athletes to understand is before you get to your anointing, you got to go through your problem.
Mm-hmm,
So let's like what you said, who you want to be is on the other side of that fear. Allow your pain to be the pedestal to your purpose.
mm-hmm,
And Vic, you lived multiple chapters, bro, from the NFL to engineering and beyond. We're talking about the superpower, unlocking your mind, man. When you think of pivot and progress, like, what would you say that has helped you, find your walk in your true purpose, and how can athletes begin to do the same thing for the journey that they're going to go on?
I would say, especially if going through that discovery phase of trying to figure out who you are, just be curious about the world, try to
Yes.
connect with as many people as possible to see what they're doing. And see what else you're good at outside of football.
Yeah.
Cause like, yeah, football is what you do. You have this natural, gift to play football, but you also got natural gifts in other areas of life, and it's up to you to find that thing. So for me, man, I was trying a little bit of everything, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. like, like it. I try to. I created a little online store one time. Um, Obviously, I had the engineering itch. I started working on cars, on a deep level. Just all kind of stuff, man. Like wherever my thoughts took me, I was like, let me see if I can do this. And eventually, you find your way though. You start to figure out what you're good at and what you're not good at.
I love that, bro. Well, look, Vic, man, your story is a powerful example, bro.
Appreciate
Of what there is success after sports, but it's not accidental. It's like you said, man. You got to be able to be intentional, man. And
you.
you went from breaking tackles to breaking barriers, man, in this engineering space, man. And you've shown what resilience really looks like, and in every phase, bro, in every phase. And so I'm excited to see what with you being aligned within your purpose and alignment of belief and becoming what that does for you in your life, bro. And also, man, I appreciate you joining us today, bro, in your time, man. This has been one of my most favorite interviews. When we start getting intellectual, bro, that's my thing, man. I love that. I love that. So thank you for not only feeding our minds but feeding our spirits, brother. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yes, sir. All right. So listen, for everybody that's here, man, that's the wrap up. I pray that you guys have gained something from that, man. And I will always leave y'all with this parting line. When you align yourself with the divine, everything will be fine. On behalf of Vick Ballard, my special guest, I'm your man, Tony the Tycoon. We out. Run well, young lions.